Merci beaucoup tout le monde d'être venu. Merci beaucoup le monde d'être venu. Je suis très heureux d'être ici avec le député Baldwin qui représente la région de Niagara. Mes amis, après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, ici à Niagara, il y a 4500 familles qui attendent un logement abordable. Ça prend 21 ans pour obtenir un appartement d'une chambre abordable pour un adulte. Ça prend 12 ans pour un aîné d'avoir accès à un appartement d'une chambre. Ça prend 8 ans pour une famille d'obtenir un logement abordable avec 4 chambres. C'est ridicule. En plus, on voit que c'est un problème qui est unique pour le Canada. Unique pour le Canada parce qu'on voit aux États-Unis que le coût de logement est à peu près la moitié qu'ici. On voit, juste en regardant sur l'Internet, des prix des maisons pour acheter. La maison ici, sur le côté canadien, à 3047 St. Patrick Avenue, ça coûte 550 000 $. Pour une maison du côté américain, ça coûte, dans les dollars canadiens, 217 000 $ pour une grande maison. Donc, le côté canadien, vous pouvez avoir une petite maison qui doit être détruite et rebâtie pour 550 000 $. Du côté américain, ça coûte 217 000 $ pour une grande maison avec un cour et un champ et beaucoup d'espace. Pourquoi? Parce qu'après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, le coût de logement a doublé, le coût du loyer a doublé, le coût d'un paiement hypothécaire a doublé. Le premier versement nécessaire pour la maison normale a doublé. Ça, c'est le bilan de Justin Trudeau après 8 ans où il a promis que les logements allaient devenir plus abordables. En plus, la nourriture augmente d'une année à l'autre de presque 10 %. C'est le résultat direct des politiques inflationnistes de Justin Trudeau. Les déficits, l'impression de l'argent et le taxe carbone qui coûte plus cher aux fermiers et aux camionneurs, donc ça coûte plus cher à tous les gens qui doivent acheter de nourriture. Assez, c'est assez. Tout semble être brisé au Canada après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau. Les réfugiés sont jetés dans la rue. La criminalité est en hausse. Il y a des fusillades qui tuent le monde. Et finalement, Justin Trudeau veut aucune imputabilité pour ces criminels-là. En fait, on a appris que Paul Bernardo a été transféré d'une prison de sécurité maximale à une prison de sécurité médium. Le premier ministre a adopté une loi C-83 qui a obligé des fonctionnaires de transférer Paul Bernardo. Et c'est pour ça que les familles dans la grande région de Niagara sont en train de souffrir encore lorsque ce monstre se permettre davantage de liberté. Un gouvernement Poilievre va changer les directions avec le gros bon sens. Premièrement, nous allons accélérer la construction de logements abordables. Nous allons inciter des municipalités de livrer des permis moins chers et plus vite. On va obliger toutes les municipalités de grandes villes d'augmenter la construction des maisons de 15 % par année comme condition pour les fonds de l'infrastructure. On va obliger toutes les municipalités qui reçoivent de l'argent pour le transport en commun de permettre des grands appartements autour de toutes les stations de train et d'autobus. On va vendre 6000 édifices et des milliers d'acres du gouvernement fédéral pour permettre la construction des maisons. Il nous faut des millions de nouvelles maisons d'ici 2030 pour permettre les jeunes d'avoir accès aux maisons, comme c'est le cas aux États-Unis, comme c'est le cas dans d'autres pays. Les Canadiens ont besoin et devraient avoir le droit d'un logement abordable, et seulement le gouvernement Poilievre, avec le gros bon sens, va le permettre. On va éliminer la taxe carbone pour réduire le coût de l'essence et le coût des épiceries. Et on va faire en sorte que les criminels récidivistes soient en prison et non pas sur la rue. Finalement, on va changer la loi pour garantir que Paul Bernardo reste dans une prison de sécurité maximale pour tous ses jours. C'est ça le gros bon sens, c'est ce que nous allons faire. Merci beaucoup d'être venu. Thank you very much, everyone. It's great to be here with Tony Baldinelli, a great champion of the tourism sector, of small businesses, and of working class people in the greater Niagara region. Here we are, though, in Niagara. There are 4,500 households that are on a waiting list for affordable housing after 8 years of Trudeau. After 8 years of Trudeau, an adult looking for an affordable apartment with one bedroom has to wait 21 years. A senior waiting for an affordable apartment has to wait 12 years. And let's be honest, that senior might not actually live that long. A family looking for a 4-bedroom housing unit has to wait 8 years. What are they supposed to do with their 3 children in that time? Now, Justin Trudeau likes to blame everyone but himself, but housing was affordable when he took office 8 years ago. It was half of what it is now. Housing costs under Trudeau have doubled. And it is not a global phenomenon. It is unique to Canada. For example, here we are in Niagara. I'll give you just one example. It costs $550,000 Canadian for a tiny little shack located at 3047 St. Patrick's Avenue. You can go check it out yourself. $550,000. On the American side, 15 minutes away, you can get a big, beautiful, multi-level with a garage and a big lot for $217,000 Canadian. Why is it that you pay twice as much for a quarter of the home on the Canadian side of the border, only 15 minutes apart? The answer is that Justin Trudeau's policies have inflated the cost of everything. After 8 years, housing prices are almost double in Canada what they are in the United States. Rent has doubled. Mortgage payments have doubled. Needed down payments have all doubled. It's double trouble with Trudeau on housing. So we've got to reverse the policies that have caused this. And the Pierre Poilievre-led government will incentivize our cities to speed up and lower the cost of building permits. We'll make Canada the fastest and most affordable place to get a building permit. I'll require every municipality permit 15% more housing and home building per year as a condition of getting federal infrastructure money. I'll give building bonuses to those cities that build more. I'll require every federally funded transit station be permitted for sky-rise apartments so that our young people and seniors can live right next to the bus or train. And I'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of surplus federal land to build, 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 build. We're going to bring homes people can afford. After 8 years of Trudeau, people can't afford their groceries. We see again, grocery prices up 10% year over year. This is the direct result of Trudeau's carbon tax on the farmers that make the food and the truckers that ship the food, which is a tax on all who buy the food. A Poilievre government will axe the tax to lower gas, heat, and grocery bills. We'll cap government spending to balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. And finally, we'll bring home safety. After 8 years of Trudeau, crime is raging in our streets. Tragically, we saw a young mother hit by a stray bullet from a the gun of a repeat offender who had violated 16 probation orders, and yet under Trudeau's catch and release system, he was free to go kill another person. We need to end catch and release and bring jail, not bail, for repeat violent offenders. Finally, to the families and loved ones of the victims of Paul Bernardo, it is outrageous that you continue to suffer, that you learned roughly a month ago that Bernardo was transferred to a medium security prison from a maximum security prison, given more freedom, more human interaction, and more opportunity to do harm. You deserve to have this chapter behind you, but Trudeau forces you to relive it each and every day. Trudeau's law, C-83, requires the public servants put prisoners in the least restrictive conditions, including mass murderers like Bernardo. I'm calling on the government to repeal C-83 and replace it with a law that keeps mass murderers in maximum security prisons. And I'm very pleased that Tony Baldinelli has introduced a bill to require mass murderers stay in maximum security prison. All Trudeau has to do is pass it to put Bernardo back in a max security prison where he should live out every last miserable day of his life. It's common sense. Let's bring homes people can afford. Let's bring food and other essentials that people can buy. Let's bring powerful paychecks, and let's bring home safety to our people. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, we'll have time for 5 questions from the floor.
Hi, Mr. Poilievre.
Hi there.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
In terms of housing prices, what role has the Bank of Canada played here, keeping prices low for an extended period and now pushing them up, making houses unaffordable for many people? What role has that played, and what would you do about the Bank of Canada? Is this the time to reassess the role of the Bank of Canada and its effect on the economy?
Thank you. The Bank of Canada, because of the political interference of Justin Trudeau, artificially inflated housing prices over the last 3 years. So let's look at the facts. The Bank of Canada has printed $600 billion of brand new cash in 3 years. We had the total money supply was $1.8 trillion in 2020. Today it's $2.4 trillion. That's a $600 billion or 32% increase. More money in the financial system, lent out in exorbitant mortgages, bid up housing prices. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. You just have to go to the Bank of Canada's own report, which showed that housing prices were actually starting to decline in spring of 2020 when the Bank of Canada started buying up federal bonds in the Government of Canada, which flooded the financial system with cash. That cash was lent out mostly to wealthy investors, and that bid up the cost of housing right across the country. Fast forward to present, the inflation that this money printing caused then necessitated the bank raising interest rates. So the same people who are forced into overpaying for real estate and taking on massive mortgages to do it were then hit with the sudden and unexpected uppercut of the fastest increases in interest rates ever in the history of Canada. Trudeau said to Canadians, borrow as much as you want, interest rates will be low for long. You don't have to worry about it. Well, surprise, now all these families risk losing their homes and declaring bankruptcy. The problem was the Bank of Canada never should have printed that money. Printing money causes inflation, especially house price inflation. And that is what helped contribute to this massive crisis we have today. That's why I said I will replace the governor of the Bank of Canada with someone who will keep inflation low and protect the purchasing power of our money. I want an independent central bank, not controlled by the Prime Minister's office like we have now. We want a central bank that will have one mission: low and stable prices. That's what we had for 25 years before Justin Trudeau, and that is what we will have when I'm Prime Minister. Thank you.
Supplementary?
Oh, we'll just go around.
Yeah. Are you local to this area?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, give him a supplementary. Yeah.
You say you'd require municipalities to increase housing construction by 15%. The municipalities are under provincial jurisdiction.
Yes.
How would you do that as the federal government?
I would make it a condition of federal infrastructure money. So the federal government spends tens of billions of dollars on municipal infrastructure. And I will link those federal dollars to housing completions. Let me just talk about the rationale briefly. The reason our housing is so expensive is because we're the second slowest place in the OECD to get a building permit. According to the CMHC, in a report just 10 days ago, Toronto is the second slowest, Vancouver is the slowest place to issue a housing permit. Coincidentally, Toronto and Vancouver are the most expensive markets. We have the fewest houses per capita in the G7, even though we have the most land to build on. That is because of local bureaucracy that adds delays, fees, charges, lawyering, consultants, and all those costs add up to $1 million per home in Vancouver, $400,000 per home in Toronto, hundreds of thousands of dollars in extra costs for every single home. That's the supply problem we have. So I'm saying to big cities, you have to speed up and lower the cost of permits, or I will withhold federal infrastructure money. However, those that beat my 15% target to permit more home building will get a bonus. They'll get extra federal money to incentivize more home building, and will require every federally funded transit station be permitted for sky-rise apartments so that our young people and our seniors can live right next to the bus or train. Thank you.
Okay, next question.
Mr. Poilievre, Martin Traynor, CBC News. Is it time for BC port workers to be legislated back to work? En français, s'il vous plaît, as well.
Oui. Thank you very much. Look, this strike is an example of Justin Trudeau's total incompetence. First of all, he caused the strike by raising the cost of living. We see labor strife right across Canada now because workers are desperately fighting for the raises they need to pay the exorbitant grocery and housing bills that Trudeau has foisted on their backs. Second, his mediator and his minister have failed to get the two parties to the table and secure a deal. Third, his labor minister pumped his fist in the air and declared victory, saying the strike was over and that he should deserve a big pat on the back. Well, we learn now he was wrong. The strike was not over. Justin Trudeau must do his job and end this strike immediately because of the massive cost to workers, consumers, and businesses. And we're calling on him to deliver a plan to end this strike within the next 24 hours. Thank you.
Supplementary, please.
Sure, one stop here.
Thank you. I admire your sartorial look.
Normally we don't allow the supplementaries, but we're just in such a beautiful place, and it's softened my heart.
This is apropos, monsieur. So it's about your sartorial look and how casual you are these days.
Thank you.
You dropped the glasses, your hairstyle. You know, it's all joie de vivre. So is this a new look? What's behind this?
Well, listen, it's summertime, and my wife says I look better without glasses, so I have to keep her happy, first and foremost. What's more important than glasses is that whether or not I wear glasses, I have the best vision for the country. Vision of lower costs, more affordable groceries and homes, safer streets. That's the vision Canadians want. Let's bring it home.
Okay. En français.
Mais sur la grève, premièrement, le gouvernement Trudeau a montré une incompétence totale en ce qui concerne la grève. La raison pour laquelle les travailleurs ont besoin de se battre pour des augmentations de paie, c'est l'inflation dans le coût de la vie, le coût de logement, qui a doublé depuis 8 ans de Justin Trudeau. Je comprends pourquoi ces travailleurs-là se battent pour les améliorations. Ils en ont besoin. Deuxièmement, Justin Trudeau a échoué à encourager une entente entre les deux côtés. Et troisièmement, son ministre a dit que la grève a été terminée. Ce n'était pas le cas. Et on sait maintenant que la grève continue, malgré les promesses au contraire de son ministre de Travail. Donc, aujourd'hui, le Parti conservateur revendique que le Premier ministre annonce un plan pour mettre fin à cette grève dans les prochaines 24 heures. On ne peut pas payer le prix. Ça coûte cher aux travailleurs, aux consommateurs et aux entreprises. Il faut mettre fin à ça et mettre fin à l'incompétence totale de Justin Trudeau. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Okay, next question, please.
I'd like to dig in a little bit on this inflation and the Bank of Canada. That's using monetary policy to try to bring the cost of living down for Canadians, but we're not seeing any improvements in groceries and things that people need to live. Is there what else would you do beside monetary policy in order to improve the cost of living for Canadians? I could think you can make a pretty good case that monetary policy isn't helping a whole lot here.
Well, you know, the person who put it best was former Liberal Finance Minister John Manley. He said that while the Bank of Canada is pressing on the brake of inflation, Justin Trudeau is pressing on the inflationary gas pedal. Trudeau is pressing on the gas with his massive deficits. His minister admitted that government deficits fuel inflation. Then 2 weeks later, she introduced $60 billion of additional inflationary deficits. That's more money bidding up the goods we buy and the interest we pay. And on top of that, the carbon tax, which applies on the fuel of the farmers who make the food and the truckers who ship the food, raises the price of all the food. So here's my common sense plan. Let's axe the tax to bring down food and fuel prices, and let's cap spending to balance the budget to bring down inflation and interest rates on Canadians. Thanks very much.
This concludes our time for questions. Thanks so much.
All right, everyone. Thanks very much for coming, and feel free to stay here for a while and enjoy the magnificent view. That's included in our program here today. Thank you. All right. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay, 100%. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Let's bring it home.